It's been happening more often with the world events. Like I just heard last night that we were going to have water hitting the southeast, and that we were going to have another polar vortex, coming to freeze out the East Coast again.
Oh, boy. Just
so get your parkas.
Need.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know when the events will occur, or do you just get the events?
They'll say tomorrow, or they'll say within 3 days. Normally it's within 3 days when this guy gives me the news. Let's put it that way. How's that?
Not any longer?
When it's like Asia is going to have, an event occurring, if I hear it a different way and I don't ask when, whatever, because I'm involved with something else, that I'm doing, which I should ask, of course, but sometimes you're on with a client and you're talking about one thing and you're hearing that news, and you have to sort of sift it like eggs and separate it like eggs. So you don't always ask when and where and what. But I remember when Hurricane Sandy hit, that was really heavy duty. I called my dad, right? I'm like, hey, Dad, in 2 weeks, okay, this is going to occur.
And he, of course, believes you now. Hold on, June. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. What a song, huh? Nothing like it. Hey, we're going to come back in a moment and get into some of the predictions by June Deyoung. And next hour, of course, we'll take your phone calls with her right here on Coast to Coast AM. And back with the psychic, June Deyoung. June, you were telling us a story about Hurricane Sandy and your father. What happened there?
Well, you would think he would have listened to me, but he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't at all. I'll tell you, George, I called him up. I'm like, blankets, water, you need that. Some man in these beautiful shoes showed up next to me. I woke up from a dream, and he had these gorgeous black, shiny shoes, like he was in the military, right? And he said the event will happen within 2 weeks. So I called my dad right away. I'm like, it's hitting you. He goes, kid, it's hitting you. Okay. I didn't know which was worse, having Regis or him. It was always, kid, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It was like that. But anyway, so I called my dad constantly, and he was like, no. It's not going to happen for you. I'm like, Dad, no electric. You got to find a way to heat everything.
You would think that he would believe you from past things, right?
Right. You would think so. Well, when it came to stocks, picking stocks and stuff like that, I was good at that when I was like a kid. I would put my hands on the stock charts. Now with online, it's different. You would have to print out every stock chart, and do the Fibonacci number system in the whole 9 yards, right? And, but they used to have those books years ago, and he used to give me those, and I used to pick stocks. And so he made a lot of money, which was good, It was funny. My stepsister's new husband had actually made a ton of money and created a wine cellar, and he said, I listened to your daughter, Ted. It's really, really funny.
Do you still do that?
Pick stocks? Yeah, I do that for a lot of investment people. They come to me and tell me what they should invest in. Like, for example, now with the land,
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. I mean, I'm going to buy a house in Napa, and then what's going to happen? A quake's going to hit or what? But under hypnosis, see, the information was delivered differently under hypnosis. And when they take me under, I'll see the pictures of it, and I'll see what's going to happen. So I kept seeing desert land, and I kept seeing the land have crops on it. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. So they said, where there is dryness in the desert, crops will grow. Invest in the land after the big quake in California. Now, I still feel that Northridge is going to get hit again, because that's what was said in hypnosis, and that we were also going to have a missile, right? Go backwards. Now, it's our missile, but we're going to blame it on an Asian country. And why I say Asian...
What now? What's going to happen with this missile?
It goes backwards, and it will leak into the ground. And I feel that it's north. It looked like the top of California.
And when you say it goes backwards, what do you mean by that?
Well, they're deciding it wants to go in a certain direction because they're planning an attack somewhere. Like
it's going up and then it just turns down?
And it was very strange. It was going in one direction, and it sort of like spins backwards. Like if you went and what should I say?
Like,
you're standing, and then you're bending backwards. That's how the missile went, and then it drops into the ground. And when it does, the debris has a radiation on it.
Was it a test missile in the beginning or not?
It doesn't feel like a test missile.
Okay, so we were launching it on someone from somewhere, but we got it.
Correct.
Okay.
And then what happens?
Jeez.
I know. And what happens is it hits us. So I worry about, Seattle and et cetera area, Northern California and Seattle area. I see it leaking in that area, but a very localized area. Like it's not going to the tributaries of California. Do you know what was really wild? I have to tell you this too, and I just saw the faces, and they were mourning. The Asian culture was in mourning that they were being accused of sending that missile to us.
Huh.
And I saw the faces saddened by it. So I don't know if it's Malaysia or it's, you understand? It's sort of like
how about North Korea?
Yeah, it could be North Korea. I didn't ask at the time because the hypnotist had to ask me. So there were a lot of messages that came through.
Explain this for a moment. Are you under hypnosis when you do this or not? I
was for those, what should I say? There were 8 sessions, 5 hours apiece, and they were very deep. I mean, 5 hours was like the
That's
max.
Huge.
That's huge. It was. It was so deep, too. It was the letting go process and the feeling and the seeing an event. So when I turn on the news and I see these sinkholes, and like the one on Sunset Boulevard, that blew my mind. Because I had always seen where I'm driving Sunset Boulevard and the road's cracked. Is that wild?
Well, okay, this missile launch, when do you see that happening?
It was interesting because we were to have a black president, okay, and then we were to have women run for presidency. So we're in that zone. We're in that time period, which is pretty heavy duty.
So
you know what I mean?
It could happen anytime.
Anytime, no. And that's the hard part of the hypnosis that we did was everything in a row. So I start to see, that happened, and this is next. Do you see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to look at hypnosis that way. Whereas the newscaster guy that just delivers the news to me that I have to give credit for because I would like him to give us more predictions. Right? Anyway, I would like him to come through more, and he's very detailed. This is what's going to happen, period. Get ready. Now, I order water, and the funny thing is I was a model for in Japan, believe it or not, for the Olympic volleyball team. And my dream is to go back to the Olympics and be like a commentator again. And the Japanese had me promote. They throw a lot of things in your hands, Suntory drink and Evian water and things like that. And I had a few clients that are water testers come over. And I bought all of this water. It was the craziest thing. I bought almost every water we got on the market. And Evian didn't test well. So I have felt so bad for having that in my hand. Isn't that crazy?
Huh.
It hurts your heart. Aquafina tested very well at the time that we did it. So I use it for my fish tank because I kept hearing, use it for your fish tank, use it for your fish tank. Well, now they just put out, the Department of Water and Power just put out a report saying they have toxic chemicals in the water. So if you have, or if you're on dialysis or anything to deal with your kidney problems, you cannot drink or use the water, for your food.
Just what we need, huh?
Isn't that great? And if you put it in your fish tank, your fish will die. Now, what hurts me is, like, all these little kids, these cute little kids would come over and go, Miss June, Miss June. This has been going on for like 3 years since I did the show. It's so crazy. And they're like, Miss June, look at the fish I got. I got a fishy like your fishy. and their fish were dying. And I was like, something's up. It's not just, it's got to be the water, you know? And it's not the chemicals or how they take care of their fish or anything like that. And so when I went to Petco said to me, yeah, we have a lot of fish dying. We don't understand why. And I said, well, did you see the report? Isn't that crazy?
I missed it, didn't I?
And I have to tell you, George, I never read this stuff because I don't have time to read. You know, you get so much junk mail and you get so many papers. But because of the drought in California, I'm reading about the water. And because when I was counseling on Dragonfly, and Dragonfly was this movie, you know, about little kids dying and with Kevin Costner and things like that. And I was sitting with the guy who did Apollo and Evan Almighty, Bruce Almighty, all of that. And he said to me, I'm interested in world predictions. I said, I'll go type them all up. So we took all of the audio tapes and typed, you know, all of them up. And I supplied them to him, and I said, you know, bottled water is going to be key. And he said, bottled water, you're crazy. And I said, no, biggest investment for you is starting a bottled water company. You're crazy, he said to me. So then I said something very personal to him and his body, and he showed me the scar. You believe that?
So you should have gotten into that business, huh? Or did he?
I should have gotten it. He did. He listened, and he did. I like it when they listen, you know, instead of later going, no, I didn't go for that commodity, you know. I know nothing about cow futures, but I'll say it if I hear it, you know.
What's your hit rate? What do you think for, like, stocks?
Oh, for stocks, I did really, really well. I did really well.
I mean, like, out of 10 picks, how many performed?
Easy 8.
That's amazing.
Easy 8. I like going to the horse races, so if you ever want to go, let's take the staff. What are we doing?
you pick the winners at horse races?
Yeah, in the weirdest way. In the weirdest way, George. I mean, I sit down, right? I have to be there, like, with the horses. So the Meadowlands, I have a great track record. They were looking at me like, who does she know? You know?
Yeah, she's on the
dress.
end.
Yeah, it was like this crazy thing. I'm in this, like, feather dress. And at the time, I was with a huge skeptic. He was, who is it? James Brown. I was going to just sing I Feel Good off key, but
yeah.
I saved you. So anyway.
Thank you.
So James Brown's manager, right?
You've still been drinking the coffee, haven't you? You've been sipping it during the breaks.
It's bad. I had a vitamin water, too. It's really bad. And
One of these energy drinks, too, I bet.
Oh, I had B12. Watch out. I'll be up all night. I'm the up all night psychic.
That's right. You will be.
So, yeah. So I have to tell you, this is the funniest thing. So we're sitting there, and he's ordering food, and I'm wired for sound into, like, who's going to win, and I'll hear, like, take off your shoes. So I take off my high heels, right? And he goes, what are you doing? And I go, I'm told to take off my shoes. He says, oh, you and those dead people, whatever. Like that, he says to me. I said, be nice, okay? Just be nice. If you want to win, be nice.
That's right.
So it ended up that we got 7 out of 8 races because the 8th race, and we were late for the other one. There were 9 races.
That's absolutely astounding.
Isn't it fabulous?
Do you pick trifectas or just the horse?
I got 2 coming in at once.
First
it's funny
and second?
because I don't bet. Yeah, I got the first and second. I don't bet. Can you tell? He loved to bet, and he knew how much. When he saw that he was winning, he bet more than $5 after the first 2 races.
You would think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go through some of these predictions, Miss Deyoung.
Okay.
And see what's in favor. We've already talked about the possibility of a missile that somehow crashes into the United States.
Yeah.
And you say we're the ones who launched it. Maybe we launched it from, offshore maybe?
Well, it was the weirdest thing. When this came in, I came into the house and 60 Minutes had a special. And it was on how we have our missiles in Alaska. And I thought, oh, that's where this is coming from. And I just was like cold all over. Like, you know, that hot and cold kind of feeling?
Mm-hmm.
That clammy, weird feeling, like that's it.
Okay, so and you see another Sandy-type episode along the East Coast?
I do. I see it more in the Florida area, and I see quakes starting to happen on the East Coast. You're going to see them and see them and see them. Then you're going to see a ripping of the earth from Florida going up towards the Carolinas into Virginia. No kidding. I got big chili bumps while I tell you that.
When you say a ripping, are you talking about a huge gouge?
Yeah, a ripping of the land. No kidding. You know, I saw a ripping of the land in Mexico, and it happened. It was on the news this week.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. And that's what I see going up. Now, the East Coast doesn't have a lot of quakes, you know? But at times I'll do a session with a client, and I'll go, you got a quake in the next few weeks. And they're like, are you kidding?
And you see the big one for California again, the one everybody keeps talking about?
Yeah, I see another one. It's going to be, I feel like it's an 8.7.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's going to chop off half the state if that happens. Jeez.
Now, I don't know how it works with, like, insurance and things like that, because, you know, when we had the other quake in Northridge, they said a certain number. And then the insurance company said, no, it was this number, which was bigger.
You mean in the terms of the Richter scale?
Yeah. So sometimes I think we're not told exactly the number. I saw 6.1 and 6.5 with this one.
Those are big.
6.5, but I mean, they said 6.1. But I'm in that sort of category.
Well, if you think we're going to do 8+, that's huge.
I
mean, you're talking about significant damage.
I do, and I will tell you that it's not for you to run from California, even though people will be running like crazy. And I know we can make rain. So what is this drought thing about? You know what I mean? I know we can make rain. We don't have to go, you know, woo-woo and sing, you know, Native American, right? To have a rain dance, you know what I'm saying? I know if we can make weather change around the country, how come they're not doing it in California? And that's the part that hurts. You know, it's hurting the land, but it's causing these quakes.
Maybe they're doing that on purpose. Maybe they don't want it to rain. Who knows?
It's possible, you know.
All right, what's your timetable on the big quake in California?
I'm going to say early next year.
Okay.
That's my bet on it.
Right,
While I'm talking to you, there's somebody else here. I'll say early next year. And, you know, I say buy land after. When you see that quake, you guys better run to California and start buying, because then the land is going to be reasonable and it's going to be really the place to be again. I don't feel it's falling in the ocean or anything like that. I do feel that water still is a possibility. You won't see me living where Jerry lived in Manhattan Beach. And every time I was on with his other half, I kept seeing her house underwater. I kept seeing a quake. I kept seeing problems like that, and it really, really bothered me. And that I still feel is going to happen. Hermosa, Manhattan Beach, that area. I had seen like gas explosions around that area, and that started to happen. So I'm still seeing the water hitting there. I'm seeing a huge object, landmass, something falling. You know, like I'll call it an asteroid. How's that?
All right,
Just for fun, George.
You're not sure. Are you sure?
I see this huge thing hitting Mexico and part of Mexico.
Mexico. Wow.
And part of Mexico, actually, and I know it sounds like it's science fiction, right? But, you know, a lot of this stuff we're looking at looks like science fiction right now. You know.
That's scary stuff.
That's scary. And I would never send anyone to Mexico to purchase anything. You know, I wouldn't send anyone to purchase anything in California south of, and I mean near the coastline, you know, towards the 405, on that coast going down San Diego, Laguna, Hermosa, Manhattan, Redondo, around there. I would keep everybody out of there. And that's something that just keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. It's not done. Now, here's the thing with, you know, Fukushima, right?
Mm-hmm.
all that radiation, I believe we're not just getting, they're saying California has all the radiation, right, from Japan. I, in my heart of hearts, I can't blame it all on that Japanese tsunami. What hits me is that the San Onofre plant had a problem, right?
Sure
in
did.
California, and they said, it was funny, one of the listeners, and she's really great, and she worked for Southern California Edison, and I did a session with her, and she had called me right after I was in the air, and all I kept seeing was like that plant leaking, and sure enough, it was leaking.
It happened. June, stay with us. We're going to take this break. First hour already gone. We're going to come back and chat more and take some calls here on Coast to Coast AM.